Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and welcome you all back to my next top 10 list I'm going to present to all of you here on YouTube. This time we're going to be diving back into the realm of anime with my top 10 anime that I feel deserve a remake. Now the concept of remakes in anime is not really all that new or unique. Many series have had it over the past. Fullmetal Alchemist, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Sailor Moon, Sailor Moon Crystal, and it's going to continue to happen in due time, but this list details the series I personally want to see get a remake. One criteria, though, I'm mostly looking for older anime series, not necessarily, anything new, like mid 2000s at the latest, early 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s. Newer series are a little too fresh for them to get a remake. There are a few exceptions on this list, but I tried to stray away from that. Most of them will be older series I believe deserve it. Now, before this video goes on too long, here we are. Let's start with my top 10 list with number 10. Number 10 goes to Magic Knight Rare, 90s, mid-90s, magical girl fantasy anime from Studio Clamp. It stars 3 high school girls from Japan being transported to the world of Sephiroth, Hikaru, Umi, and Fu. They get transported there. They're destined to save the world. They get these magical powers to save the princess, save Sephiroth from this evil darkness and these enemies trying to take it over. It's a pretty interesting fantasy, magical girl type anime, and for those of you who've seen it, you know exactly what I mean. I do love it quite a bit. It is one of my favorite animes I've seen recently. I didn't see it when it first came out, but I did see it a couple of years ago, and the 2 seasons of it, like 45 episodes, it was pretty good, and it was adapted from like a 6-volume manga, so they did certainly add a couple of things into it, and it was a fun show. Now, why would I specifically want to see it, updated? Well, it'd be kind of cool to see if they, first off, they visually update it for the modern day audience of anime fans, just to see what it would look like, an 90s anime being improved, and updated into the current day art style. I'd love to see it, and it'd be kind of cool to see it more of like a manga adaptation, like a full-blown, straightforward manga adaptation. As far as I've seen doing research for it, though, there weren't too many changes outside of a few additional characters in the anime and a few different storyline changes. So whether they want to adapt the manga story or the older original anime story is fine by me. It doesn't really matter, though, because a lot of the anime changes were done by the manga creator themselves, so it doesn't really matter. And I think it'd be kind of cool to see it remade, specifically because we're kind of going almost into a magical girl renaissance. I know there's a lot of big magical girl shows back in the past that really did pretty well for themselves, like Cutie Honey, Revolutionary Girl, Utena, Sailor Moon, and like Cardcaptor Sakura. But and then we've seen those back then. But now it seems like we're in an era where we're seeing like a resurface of this genre since like the late 2000s, like with turning the series upside down, like Yuki as a Hero, Madoka Magica, Sailor Moon, and Cardcaptor Sakura one's gotten a remake, one's getting a remake, and there's a lot of different magical girl shows now. So why can't, it might not be Sailor Moon popular, but it is one of the more popular 90s magical girl shows, and you can do a lot with it. There's my number 10. Here is my number 9. Slayers. Most importantly, the first 3 seasons of Slayers. Slayers Original, Slayers Next, and Slayers Tried. Some classic 90s comedy, action, fantasy shows. It's basically like Dungeons and Dragons if it had a lot of comedy into it. Basically following the adventures of Lena Inverse Gowry and all their friends traveling the world, saving it from evil different monsters, dragons, and forces of evil. It is a pretty fun show, and there's a lot of fans that love it. It has such lovable characters, such interesting storylines, especially the next season. And it'd just be kind of cool to see it visually updated and see them take a modern day approach visually on it, go maybe with that evolution art style, or totally ginger if you really want, and go to giving maybe more for modern, bringing it back to the surface in more modern day adaptation of it, so maybe newer anime fans can get it, and it could be a love letter to the older fans too, to give them a new adaptation, new version of the old 3 classic original stories. Now, you could, and I don't know how different it is to the manga, but if there's any differences from the original 3 seasons to the manga, maybe change them if you want, maybe cut out some episodes, maybe cut the series down a little bit, but it'd be kind of cool to see the older series kind of done, just so you can see a modern approach, a modern variation, a modern adaptation for these classic stories. And I think a lot of the fans of Slayers would be pretty good about wanting something like that. That's my number 9. Here's my number 8. A Comedy Got Killed. Now, Comedy Got Killed is one of the more modern series on my list, and it's really the only reason I want to see like a remake of it is because, like, of the ending. Like, the manga ending and the anime ending were quite a bit different, and a lot of people are peeved and pissed off at how the manga ended. The manga ending, spoilers. You know, a lot of the main characters die, but that doesn't really happen in the manga. The only reason I want to see a remake of this, and of course it's not going to happen now, maybe about 5 years down the line it can get its own Full Metal Brotherhood, is to kind of please the fans that really are not that happy with how the anime adaptation of this series ended, make it a little bit closer to the manga, and give like the fans that want to see a manga adaptation faithfully their own series of a remake. That's as simple as that. It's not specifically for me, it's for the fans. This one's not personally me, I want it so the fans can be pleased with it. That's my number 8. Here's my number 7. Sekirei. Now, Sekirei is a interesting anime, and if you guys see my first top 10 list, like when I did the old slideshows for my anime, I think we need at least one more season, this was on it, because the story is so freaking cool, and I really do like the characters and the whole Sekirei playing, all these Sekireis fighting each other to see who the last one standing is, and you basically get like this character Minato kind of, you know, meeting Musubi, and all these other Sekirei that join his team, and it's them just fighting like these other rogue and various other Sekirei, and just get the Sekirei plan, Sekirei game going on. And it would certainly be cool to see the modern, like, you know, see them remake the show, because the chances of us getting like a remake, I mean, the chances of us getting like a new season are pretty much slim to none, given that this series came out like in 2008, 2009, 2010, and the chances of us getting like a new season is pretty slim to none at this point. But maybe a remake could be the way for us to finally see some new Sekirei. The manga was probably going on at the time. I do recall that at the end of season 2, there was some changes, like one of the characters that died was kept alive in the anime. That might have screwed some stuff up in the future, I don't know. But make it more faithfully adapted to the manga, and you know, from the manga, and then just have the full story from point A to point B, and just give us something new in Sekirei. People might not like it for the ecchi content, but I think at least in terms of this, unlike something like a Heaven's Lost Property, Sekirei's ecchi content kind of coincides with the action of the series and the point of the series, and them just fighting each other and getting their clothes ripped up and destroying each other, unlike Heaven's Lost Property or other shows like that, where it overtakes the story, the comedy and etchiness just overtakes the story and the characters. But this, I thought, it actually did pretty, you know, it fit in pretty well, and I do call this being fairly popular show, so maybe the manga was fairly popular and the anime is fairly popular, we can finally get a remake of it, and we can finally see a conclusion to it, because I really got peeved off that they did not conclude anything with Season 2. That's my number 7. Here's my number 6. Rosario Vampire. This kind of falls into the same camp as Sekirei. It was on my second list of anime I feel needed in their season. And it is an interesting series. For those who don't know, Rosario Vampire stars a character named Sukune, a boy who is accepted into a monster school because they believe he's a monster, and he has to hide his identity from all the other monsters because they all take human forms, so he doesn't get, you know, found out and killed and whatnot, because all these monsters are feared in humans and they're scared of humans and like they're being outcast and stuff like that. And in the process, he's found out by a lot of these other girls, Snow Woman, some vampires, witches and succubi and everything. And it is a pretty cool cast of characters. But it never finishes the story. It makes, just like Sekirei, it has 2 seasons, and the second season ends with Sukune going after Moka, the main vampire's father, and trying to save her from the castle they live in, bring her back to the school and whatnot. And they go back to school, and they just live their life there. And I've seen and heard what happens in the manga, and it's like there's stuff that they never adapted from the manga because it probably was still going on at the time. And then they also, focus so much on the ecchi content. Unlike Sekirei, where I think it fits into the series, this series is a little bit more on that Heaven's Lost Property side, where I think it kind of went a little too much into it, and that probably pushed away a lot of viewers, and that was not in the manga. So if they redid this, they could either keep the same ecchi content, but just focus a lot more on the story, please, or you can kind of go more ear-tone to the manga. Either or, I think, would be kind of cool. But Rosario Vampire needs something. I think we recall it being pretty freaking popular, so hopefully it gets something. Now we are in my top 5. Let me make sure I'm checking the time here and make sure everything is all right. Yep, we're pretty good right now. Let's hope nothing happens at this point. Number 5. Tokyo Mew Mew. Now, there's 2 reasons I want this series on there. Neither has to do with the visuals. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see it updated, but they had the same, fairly similar art style. It wouldn't be that much of a problem with me, because I do still like it. It's like a good classic 2000s design for anime. 2 reasons. One, to get the complete manga series. Now, for those of you who don't know, there was also an aftermath story called Tokyo Mew Mew a la Mode. It'd be cool to see that adapted as well. 2, I would love to see a full-blown English dub at this point, because the original series didn't get a full-blown English dub because 4Kids was the one that dubbed it, turned it into Mew Mew Power, and because of all the changes they did, pissed off the creators, they pulled the rights, and we couldn't get the second half of the series in English. So, this is their best chance, unless someone like Funimation or Viz come and redub it, to get in a complete dub of the series. It's a redone version, and then you can throw in a la mode as well. And just like I mentioned with Magic Knight Raider, it'd be kind of cool to go into this whole Magical Girl renaissance with a remake of Cardcaptor Sakura, a remake of Sailor Moon, stuff like Madoka Magica, You Can Use the Hero, and all these other Magical Girl shows coming out, with one of the more popular like Magical Girl shows from the 2000s. That's my number 5. Let's get on to my number 4. Ouran High School Host Club. This was on my original list for anime I feel needed another season. At this point, just like Sekirei, it feels like it's like almost 10 years later, and we still haven't seen anything from the series in terms of another season, because there still is manga to be told, manga story to be told. So instead of doing like another season of the series, which is very unlikely, I think the best chance now is to get a remake. Start the series from the beginning, include all the stories that were missing in the manga, do more of a faithful manga adaptation, update the visuals if possible, and give us the full story of Haruhi and Tamaki and the host club that she has to join because she breaks their vase and has to pretend to be a boy to please all the girls, and the whole money thing because she's poor compared to this rich school that she's in. So, but like I said, they missed stories from the manga, like Tamaki's. There's more with Tamaki's mother and whatnot, and it's like, I know we would all like to see another season, like I would like to see another season of Sekirei, but at this point it's been so long, the best choice of action would be to do a freaking remake at this point. And there's a lot of fans of this series. It's warranted. My number 4. Here's my number 3. Akira. Classic, nostalgic, cult film of the anime world, late 80s. It's such a beloved movie, and it's a must-see for anime fans. But here's the thing, though. It doesn't even tell the full story. The manga was going on at the time. They only go to a certain point, and the anime movie here ends at such a random offshoot point. Nothing really gets solved, and it's just like out of nowhere. And I'm surprised no one's ever decided to adapt this at all to this point. Like, seriously, you have not adapted. Like, there's nothing with Akira since then. And it would be kind of cool to see them just go back and take it. It could be a 3 to 6 episode OVA, a full-blown 12 episode series, or they could do movies. One movie, but that'd be too much probably content to throw into it. Or maybe do a series of movies like Neon Genesis Evangelion. Like, they've been doing those lately, but no, you were not, whatever series. But something, like, I'm just honestly surprised. It's such a cult classic movie, and the only thing that's been happening is, like, with the 25th anniversary, they did, like, a new English dub. Why hasn't there been a new version of this, like, at all, or a full-blown story? The manga's been long since done, and it's such a cult classic. I'm surprised no one's done anything with it. And that's my number 3. Here is my number 2. Come on. Come on, please. Go back? Hey, crap. Well, you guys saw some spoilers there. Sorry. This thing is going slow. Have patience. Number 2 is Rurouni Kenshin. This came so close to being number 1 because it was such a cool anime and such a beloved anime series, but here's the thing. It never had a full completion either. There was some story that was left untold. But unlike something like Sekirei or Rosario Vampire or whatever, where only a couple years old and I feel it would be too old to get another season, this series is like from the 90s and just have a random like last arc here, which made sense for Inuyasha's final arc because it was only a couple years off. This would be like 20-some years off. Would kind of make no sense, but a remake of it would be kind of cool. And it's such a beloved series of Kenshin Himura and his friends and fighting these villains like Saito and Shishuo and the whole samurai aspect of Japan and all this, like, these fighting actions and comedy and romance and everything. It was a pretty cool freaking show, and as far as I heard, like they never finished the final act of the manga, like the final arc of the series, and then probably during the series you probably would have like there was some stuff probably missing during the actual series, and they had quite a bit of filler in there. That some episodes really were kind of pointless, and it was a pretty good show, but like it never had a full completion. And you can also visually update it too. Like you could visually make it like maybe more modern look to the style, even though this style is almost timeless. There are certain anime out there that are certainly timeless, so this is kind of one of them. But like to see a visually updated version of it, like today's art style, would be kind of cool, and to have a full-blown story from beginning to end, cutting out maybe some of the filler, and there you go. You have something to go on from there. Now let me check the time one more time. Okay, we're doing pretty well here. I have to really hurry this up because I don't know how much battery I have left, and I've tried recording this thing like 5 freaking times, and it's always going off. But that's it. Like I said, this came so freaking close. So when you see my number one, it like neck and neck. Remake Kenshin and my number one were so freaking close, and there's a reason I picked my number one. But before we get to my number one, a few honorable mentions of anime I feel deserve a remake. They barely missed the list. Maybe not as much. I don't want them as much as my top 10, but they certainly will be sure as heck interesting to see as well. Dead Man Wonderland. The series never concluded. It was pretty popular back in 2012 with Tsunami's return. The series was ended. I don't know if it was because it was not so popular in Japan, the creator was pregnant at the time, or one of the disasters in Japan, or something held it back. Complete it because I really want to see a conclusion to it. Trigun, because I just would like to see it updated. Like it's not because there's any problems with it. I don't know if there's anything different from the manga, but because I would love to actually see it in a modern day art style, just to see what they could do with if they try to improve the art style for it. Princess Sapphire, Princess Knight, a classic 50s manga turned into a 60s anime about like a Robin Hood type princess fighting for people and helping people and stuff. It is a classic. It'd be kind of cool to see it brought back. I've never seen it myself. I've been trying to get into some classic anime. This is one I want to get into, but it's such an interesting concept and it would stand out from like all the shonen anime, all the ecchi content we see nowadays, and it'd be kind of cool to bring back a classic like this. Speed Racer, another classic to bring back. I know they brought back the new generation and Speed Racer X and whatnot, but I'd like to see a remake of the original series, a more basic, non-CGI, non-futuristic Speed Racer. Ramen One Half, just like Inuyasha, is a really freaking popular series from the same creator. Really kind of humorous, cool concept of the transforming cursed lake and everything. I don't know if the manga was ever fully told in the series. I've never seen the complete Ramen One Half, but I do know it's a really freaking popular series, so if they never completed all the entire series, it'd be kind of cool for them to go back to it like they went back to Inuyasha and to redo some of this series in a more modern day approach, and maybe that will get people to go back and watch the original. Rose of Versailles, another classic anime like Princess Sapphire that would be kind of cool to see brought back and it'll stand out because it's one of the classics. Soul Eater, more so to kind of change the ending, because not a lot of people would like the ending. It's not like a Kami got kill hatred and pissed offness, but the ending of the anime wasn't exactly the same as the manga, and bring more of a modern approach to it, and see those characters again. And Yu Yu Hakusho, because it's such a beloved anime from the 90s, it's classic shonen anime from the 90s. I would love to see it brought back and just see it visually improved, and if there's anything from the manga, bring it in there. If there's any excess stuff, cut out the filler stuff, make it maybe a slightly shorter series, make it more adapted to the manga. And, well, the creator's wife kind of got a remake in terms of Sailor Moon, so maybe you can have the husband get his series too. I mean, they did do a remake of Hunter x Hunter. How about you, Hakusho? And that's it. That's my last of my honorable mentions. Drum roll, please. My number one most wanted anime to see a remake of is... my number one anime I want to see is, and I'm going to be really quick about it. I'm sorry I'm rushing this video, but I've tried so many freaking times, I'm getting sick and tired of it tonight. Fruits Basket. And here's the thing, it was Rurouni Kenshin and it was Fruits Basket. They were neck and neck. Both of them deserved it. Both of them had cut content from their series, like, various characters missing from Fruits Basket, like Horse Lady and Rooster Dude, and the ending of the story didn't really, ended on the Hokio arc with his crazy, like, feeling outcasted monster cat form thing. And I think there was more stuff to the series afterwards. But here's the thing, there's like neck and neck. They both were missing content. They both deserve a full-blown manga adaptation. They have their full stories told. And both of them are really freaking popular and really wanted series. I chose this because here's the thing. I'm like, okay, if I only had one, if I only can get one, what would I personally want? And I personally want freaking Fruits Basket. Because I love the series so damn much. I watched the series back in 2005. I fell in love with the series because of all the characters. storylines and all that to it. I like the whole concept of the cursed Chinese zodiac animals and being transformed and everything, animal transformation type stuff. It's pretty freaking cool, and the cool story instead of characters, how they interact with his family, how Toru Honda, who lost her mother, and the only family she really has left is her two friends at high school. Well, meets this entire family and gets her own family herself outside of her friends. And it's just like such a cool story. It's like it never really got fully finished. And all these fans, I remember I read online, sent all these like cranes and wished for season 3, and the creators did nothing. But there was so much more manga told, and this series was so freaking popular. Why the hell can't you do it? And we just recently got the Sweet 16 Blu-ray DVD thing from Funimation, who now owns the publishing rights to it. Why the heck? Sorry, I'm just trying to. Why the heck can't they do this? I want Rurouni Kenshin to get it too, and I think Rurouni Kenshin deserves a whole heck of a lot. But this one deserves a whole heck of a lot too. Plus, it's my list, and I was looking for what I personally wanted. This is the remake I so desperately freaking want. There's no point in adding another season all these years later because the series came out in the early 2000s. But I would love to see it get a remake, and it fits so well with the whole Sweet 16 thing coming out, and maybe that will build up popularity for some creator in Japan anime, please, to remake this series. That's it. That's my top 10 anime I feel like deserve a remake. Put in the comment section what you guys think. Do you guys like this list? What are some of your top 10? What are some of your anime you want to see get remade? Hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day. See you all later. Hopefully this camera doesn't go out before I do this. Bye!